Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So in this video we are going to build a to-do application with React, and not only that, we are not going to make it a static, but we'll be using browser's local storage to keep you know our to-do list. So whenever you exit from the browser and you open it again, then you will see all the things that were when you left off. Okay, so let's jump into the video. Okay, so let me just first create an empty folder, and I've named it uh, YouTube to do. So I'm going to open it with my code editor. Oh, first let me create a React app. Create React app. Sorry, in the folder, and then I'll open it with my code editor. You can see it's almost done, and I will recommend you guys to watch this video in 1.5x because I go pretty slow. So it's almost done, and let me open it with Visual Studio Code. Okay, so we're done. So I'll first run this npm start, and then I'll open it with first let me open it with code, and also I will npm start. Okay, so you can see that I've fired up my Visual Studio Code. Close 3000. So before diving deep into how we are going to do it, so let me just first walk you through like how what we are going to do in this to-do application. So see, the basic features of to-dos are that a user should be able to create a to-do, give it a title and some description, and then he should be able to check any item which check off his list. Okay, so suppose he had a task and he wanted to mark it as a complete, that it is completed, so he can do that, and he should also be able to delete a to do and just remove it completely from the list. Okay, so these are the things, and we'll be using some CSS properties to make it a little stylish. Okay, so yes, so that is pretty much it. So you can see that my Visual Studio Code is running. Oh, my app is running on localhost 3000. I have some boilerplate. So what I'm going to do before, I will simply go to my app.js and I will delete some boilerplate. Okay, so okay, so first what I want in my application, let me just first go to the app.css and remove all the stylings because we are not going to use any of it. So I will just simply delete everything here. Okay, then inside my app I will use a header, and header will say to do application. Okay, you can see no styling, and we're going to we'll be doing some of the CSS. Okay, then what I want in below my header, I want a yes, so I will call this as my to do items. Okay, and inside this I will have my to do item, and to do item will have a title div, and inside my title I will have an h3, and h3 will say go to supermarket. Sorry, go to supermarket. So see, that's why I'm telling you guys to watch this video in 1.5x because of going too slow. And then below the title I want another div which will be of description. Okay, and the description will be a paragraph, and paragraphs should be lorem 10, whatever and then what I'll do, I will copy my to do item So this will be my to do item, I guess. Yes. So I'll copy this, shift and option key and down arrow. So you can see I have three items. So now before any before because I will be dividing these stuff into separate component, but before that I will write some css in my app.css file. So now for the css part I have copied some css. Okay, so this one's for header. So header is text aligning to the center. Okay, if I save this, you can see that my header is in the middle of the screen, and then I have three to do items, and they have a border of 2 pixels solid blue. And then for the to do item there's nothing much, we just have a background of white. And then for my to do item I have a display flex, and I've given some padding and margin bottom, and yes, a border or border radius just to soften up the corners, right? Okay, so yes, and then for the see, I also need the buttons to delete my to do or to mark it as complete. Okay, so for that what I'll do is I will simply make a button delete, and also just below my paragraph I will mark them as check. And I can see that they are taking up the entire line. That's because they are the block level element. So what we can do to remedy that is we can go to the index css, and I will apply the class css to my h3 and p, and I'll make them as display inline block element. Now they will take up the entire what I can do is I can just style my button, and I'll give this a float of right, which I'm not exactly sure what it does, but okay. So now what we can do is we have to make this button functional. But first, so I've given these I've copied these styles, button hover, primary, and primary hover. I can see that that's how my button looks right now. So now let's implement the functionality first, then we'll come back to the CSS later on. So what I want to do is I want to delete my to do when I click on this delete button. Okay, so what I'll do in my app.js, for my delete button, what I'll do is I'll provide this an on click of handle to do remove. Okay, so, and what this function will do is basically remove it from the list, right? But how exactly? So right now we cannot do that because see, my list is like hard coded. So what I need to do is I'll need to create something like a state or like state, right? So I'll call this my to do's and set to do's, and what this will be use state. Okay, you need to import it from React. Okay, so I will simply first what I need to do is to give this some initial state, and that will be the exact list we it should have an ID. So let's say it has an ID of 1, and then it should have a title, and the title is go to supermarket in the string, and then I need a description, right? And then description should be let's say, let me copy this and then paste. Okay, so now there's one more key that I need to add, is that is complete, and you'll see why I'm doing it. Is completed, sorry, is completed should be false by default, right? So later on what we'll do is when the user clicks on this check button, we will mark this is complete to true, right? And let me copy this a bunch of times. So okay, I'll just simply change the ID because that's what matters right now. Okay, so right now nothing changes because we're not using it somewhere. So what I'll do is inside my to do items I will open up the pair of curly braces, and then I want to map through my to do's dot map, and then I'll call this my to do. Okay, and now pair of parentheses. So what I want to do first is there should be a title, sorry, title, and titles h3 should be, yes, to do dot title, and my button should say exactly same thing. That's what I want. And then after that I need a div of description. Yes, description. Yes, I've done something wrong. So what I'll do is I'll simply wrap this with to do item because I forgot to do it. Yes, so now I will have this, and after that what I need, I guess that's pretty much it. So I will just simply remove it. To do item, true item. I need one more div. Right, so go to supermarket, go to supermarket, go to supermarket, and now every one of them has to do and check button. Okay, so now we can implement deleting stuff. So how we can delete stuff? Okay, so what I want to do is on click of this handle to do remove button, what I want to do is I will convert this into an arrow function, and I will pass to do dot id, because the id is what makes them different. Okay, so every to do is going to have a different id, a unique one, right? So what I'll do is I'll simply take my to do dot id, and then here I'm going to use my id. Inside this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a filter method. Okay, so I'll call this const filtered to do's equals my to do's, they have all the items. Okay, and I'm going to use filter. So filter, the way filter works is filter you provides filter map, they work in exactly same way, but the filter provides you everything except the thing you provide. Okay, so for example, so what I want to do in my filter, I'm going to filter, and I'll call this as a to do, right? So it will return everything except where my to do dot id is triple equals to the id that I provided. Okay, so it will return everything. Okay, so let me just first console log, right? So console log filtered to dos. So see, so first the length of my to dos is 3. See, it's an array, right? So this to dos has three items. So now if I cross something off my list, or if I delete something, the length should be 2, and there should be 2 items in my filter to dos, right? So I guess we are ready to see this in the console. Okay, so now it's giving us a warning for the unique key prop, but we'll do that later. So let's see, I click on this delete, I can see that oh sorry, this is not the property. I need to do this. It's giving us the, if I use this, now you can see that I have 2 items, so I deleted this one, right? So the remaining items are 2 and 3. If I delete this one, then I should have 1 and 2. And the reason why it's not you must be thinking that why 1 is not deleted, because we deleted it, right? So the reason why, because we haven't set it back to the to do's state. So that's what we are going to do now. So what I'll do is I will call my set to do's, and since this is an array, I don't need anything. I will just simply copy this, and I'll pass this. Oh sorry, I'll simply copy this and pass this. Now it will work. If I delete this, you can see that okay, let me do one thing. I'll just call this 1, 2, so that you can see that which one is being deleted from the list. If I delete 1, you can see that 2 and 3 are in the list. If I delete this, you can see it's empty. And which reminds me of the next point, that if there is no item, so what I'll do is I will simply put a check over here, like if to do's dot length, right, and question mark, which means that if there is the length, then then show this, otherwise you can show in span, and span should say there are no items in the list. And I can see there's some problem. Let me figure it out. Okay, so this is okay. So okay, let me just okay, so I had to put it here, right, so I'll simply use a span and it should say that there are no items in the list. See if I delete everything, and we'll style this later on. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for this part. What we'll do is now I'm going to split this into another a whole different component. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to split we are going to create a new folder inside my source. We'll call this as components, and then inside this I will create a new file called as todo.js. okay, and then I'll rfce. okay, and then what I'll do, I'll simply just remove my to do items, right? So to do items is this div, right? And I'll paste this inside my component, and now it will ask like what are to do's. So if I save this, it's going to give us okay, so no errors, but it's not going to work since to do doesn't know what is to do's, right? So in order to make that to do available, so we have to call this component call as to do. okay, and now to do's is not defined. okay, so now what I can do, what we're going to do is we are going to give these to do's, right? And we are going to pass this to do's equals to do's in my to do, and then I will just simply restructure it to do's. okay, so now it's saying handle to do remove is not defined. So for the same reason, what I can do, I can simply copy this handle remove handle to do remove equals handle to do remove, and I'll copy this and each child in the list should have a unique key prop. okay, let's fix this. So now we can see that this is my this is the child, so I can give this a key of to do.id. There is some issue, I guess, but I don't know what that is. Yes, the reason is I'm not returning anything, so what I'll do is simply return this. okay, so now I can see that it is working as we expected. So now, but our code is more cleaner than that. okay, so now time to implement the next functionality, which is to add a new to do. So how we can do that, let's see that. Create the new to add a new to do. So I'm going to give this a class of add to do. okay, now inside this I will have two input boxes. and with the placeholder of enter, or should be smaller than enter a to do title, and similarly enter a to do description, right? And then below, just below that, I will have a button, and it will have a class name of primary, and you'll see that why in a second, because I'm going to give it a color of primary, right? So and then button will say add to do, and okay, so now what I'm going to do is see, these are my input boxes, and right now they are very uncontrolled. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make them controlled by creating a state of new to do, and then set new to do. Okay, and see, I'm not making different states for title and description. I'll be doing, in the same state, and by I'm giving this an empty string, and same goes for description, right? And by that, what I'll be doing, I'll give this a value of new to do dot title, and this a value of new to do dot description, right? And now you won't be able to type anything, because we have just done one way binding, and we have to do it the other way, like we have to provide this in on change method. Okay, so for that I will give this an on change of handle input change, right? And yes, same goes for this one, and I'm giving the both one to the same input change method. And the reason why, because see, because what I'll do, I will give both of them a name, which is a property that you can give to input types. So name should be, and it should be yes, it should be same as the value that you are giving here, and you'll see why. So I'm going to give this a description name, and inside my on chain method, what I'll do, I will simply use my set new to do, and I'll use the functional version of it, and I'll return an object with previous. If you won't use previous, then what will happen, you type anything in title, you will lose the content of description, and you type anything in description, you will lose the content of title, because it will set the new value to the entire value, right? And then what I want to do, I want to use e.target. See, that's where it will have the e.target.name, and the name is this one, right? Name. And I will set this to e.target.value. Okay, now if you can see that the error should not appear, and I'm able to type inside it, and this blue color came from, yes, I've added these, right? In case you didn't see that. Oh yeah, I've added it. Alright, so what we can do next is, yes, so the next thing would be to, yes, so next thing is we're going to style this a little bit, right? Okay, so for the styling part, what I've done is I have wrapped my, everything inside my app except the header into a class of flex container, which, definitely is a flex, right? Okay, so, and after that I have wrapped my input and button into this class of wrapper. Okay, and you can see the classes over here in the app.css. So this wrapper is giving them a background color of this whitish, and then a border radius, and then input has a border of none, padding, and some border radius. And then the flex container is a display flex property, and it is aligning items to the center, yes, and the height of 100 viewport. Okay, so now you can see the final CSS looks like this, and yes, so Now it's about to add the new to do to the list, and the way we do it is, first of all, what I'm going to do is, inside the component I'm going to create a new file which will be add to do.js, right? And then, so what I'm trying to do is I'm extracting this thing into my new to do. So I'm separating the logic for it, right? And I don't need anything, but I'll need these new to dos, right? So I will use my add to do component, and let's see what is it's so these are the thing it's missing, right? New to do. And okay, so I'll call this as new to do. So let's pass this new to do, and again the next thing is input, add an input change. Okay, so inside my add to do I'm going to call this as first this one and then new to do, right? So no errors, right? And I'm able to type. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to basically in this where is it? Yes, so let me remove this. So inside my add to do, what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide a function to my handle, or I'll call this function as add to do. Okay, and I'll pass this function add to do to my add to do, and I'm going to attach this to this one on click, right? So what should happen when someone's click on this add to do button? Okay, so right now nothing happens, right? But what I want to do is I want to take these items. Okay, first I want to check that if these item present. Okay, so if there are no if someone is trying to press the add to do button, even if there is no content inside title and description, I should not add this to the list, right? Otherwise, because it will look ugly. So I will do a validation check. Let's if this title or description and description, I want both of them. So inside my app, what I'll do is, see, so whatever the user will type will be inside my new to do, right? So I will first check my new to do, okay, so what I'm going to do is inside my, okay, yes, so when someone's click onto the so first I'll check if there is new to do, new to do dot title and new to do dot description. Okay, if this is the case, then I should add this. Otherwise, else what I should do is I should window dot alert, let's say that please add the title and description first, right? And now if I click on this, since there is no content, but if I do this, it will not give me any. Okay, so now see, inside this block I have my title and my body. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add this to my list. So what I'll do, I will simply create a new constant, let's say new to do. Okay, new to do, and I will make an object of it, and it will be new to do dot title. Yes, it will be new to do, So whatever new to do has, it will have this. And new to do is no, new to do item. Let's call this new to do item. Okay, so it will have the title and description, but what I want to do, I also want to give this a ID, remember. So I'll just use math dot random, and then also a flag of is completed, and I'll give this a false value, right? And after that, what I'll do is I will set my to-dos to this value. Oh no, if I do that, then all my previous values will be lost. So I'll convert this into an arrow function, and I will simply make an array of previous values, and then I add new to do item in it. I think it looks nice. And also after doing that, I want to clear my set new to do item, right? Because I don't want this item to remain in there. So what I'll do is I will simply just use title empty and description to be empty. So let's add something. Okay, so let's Bombay, take a trip to Bombay. Let me zoom this. See, if I add this, it's not going to do anything, right? So this is adding, right? Let me just add couple of gym page, gym face, and also go, right? It's working, right? And delete is also working, right? Okay, so now what we will be doing, we will be implementing the check functionality. Done is I've created two classes for complete and complete hover, which has the green color just like the primary one, which has a blue color. And inside my add to do, what I've done is I've given this inside my to do, what I've given this button a class name of complete. And also I want to render this in conditionally, because inside my to-dos, you can see that when my to-do is completed, I don't want them to see the check button. If the is complete flag is false, then only I want to show them the button, right? Okay, so this way it will only show when when my item is incomplete. Okay, so for example, if I make this true, then I should not be able to see is completed or is complete. Is completed, right? So now I can see that it doesn't have the button because it is marked as true, complete, right? So now also what I want to do, I want to give this in a on click, right? So far we are dealing with the on click and the state, right? So handle mark complete. Okay, so what I'm going to do is handle mark complete, and it should come from the top also. And then yes, so here I can define my function. Sorry. Also what will happen when someone's click on this check button, I also I want to convert this into another function, because of I want to give this the ID of to do dot ID. Okay, just like when we were deleting things. So here I will get the ID, and what I'll do is I'll simply map over const to do's const to do's list, let's say. So now what will I do, I will take my to do's and then I'll map over them, call this as to do, Now if my now I'll just simply check if my todo.id is triple equals to the id that this one has. Then what I want to do is I simply want to you know set the value of todo dot is completed to true, right, or equals to true. And after that, what I want to do, I want to return my, see, this is not the else case, right? It is for like everything. It is for every single case. Return to do, right? But now nothing will happen because we are not setting it back to the true. So I'll take this to do list and I'll set to dos. I'll assign this to do set to dos list. Okay, but we're not calling this function since what I want to do, I want to give this to the true one. Now it should be available there. Okay, and I should be able to check this. I can see that it is checked, and see, the button is not visible, which means it's checked. And also I want to give in the div, so this is the div, right? So what I want to do, see, this is the, so I've given this a class of to do item, but what I want to do is I also want to give this another class which is if. So I want to give this to do, agar if to do is to do dot is completed, oh sorry, I need to remove this backtick and put it over here. To do dot is completed, then I want to give them a class of completed, and if not, then we are good. Now for the completed class, what I want to do in my app.css dot completed, I want to text decoration to line through. So if I refresh this, okay, it's not working, give me a second. Okay, so the problem is I have to use these double I have to convert it into a boolean. So now it is checking if is completed is true, then give it a class of completed, and in my app.css I will target my h3 comma dot completed, and it will call this p. And I can see whatever is checked, it will give this a class of completed, and it will strike through or line through the text, right? And I can also can always add new item, right? But now what I want to see, that part is done, the React part is done. Now what I want to do is I don't want to lose my content, or I don't want to hard code anything in the app. What I want to do is I want to connect this application to the local storage, right? So what I'll do is so inside my to do, what I want to do okay, so first of all, let me minimize this, and what I want to do is whenever I'm marking something complete, I will simply use my local storage dot set item, and inside my set item, what I'll call this as to dos, and I will use this to do list, and I will set this. But I cannot use something like this. Why? Because you can only put string in that in the local storage. So what I'll do is I will use my json.stringify and to do list. Okay, so now if I check this, or so this was handle mark complete, right? So if you go to application and then local storage, you can see that you have a to-dos and then go to supermarket, so everything is there. But and when someone's remove it, removes anything from the store, I also want to do the same thing, but in this case I will use my filter to-dos. Okay, and another case would be to, yes, so when someone is adding a new to-do, then also I want to set it. But in this case what I'll do is I will use my something like this, and but instead of previous I'll use my new to-dos, right? Okay, so that way it will update. So let's say if I refresh, see, right now I'm setting something to the local storage, but I'm not getting fetching. So what I want to do is, so that I don't have to hard code anything here, so what I'll do is I'll simply use effect, and inside use effect I will give this an empty dependency, which means that it will only run when the component is mounted for the first time. Okay, and I'll use local storage dot get item, and it will be my to-dos, and I'll call this as const to-dos. See, and this will be in a string form. So what I'll need to do, see, it's saying a string. Okay, so what I need to do is, first I need to assign this as set to-dos, but I need to use my json dot parse, and it will convert this again to a object or whatever it is, right? If I refresh it, and let's say if I remove this, if I remove everything inside this, hopefully it should work. And you can see that this is working very nicely, right? And if I add something which is like blah blah and something, right? And if I refresh this, and it stays there. Okay, so we have connected it to the store, and you can see that everything which will update, because see, we have connected every single thing to the local storage. When you delete something, if you delete it, and if I refresh it, see, we have used local storage for every single thing that we are doing. So suppose we are removing it, then we are setting it to the local storage, and if we're adding something, we are setting it to the local storage. And when my app first mounts, okay, so then I'm getting it from the local storage, right? So I hope this video was helpful. In case you haven't yet, then please subscribe to my channel. I'll try to upload one video every single week. Okay, so thank you guys, thank you so much.